so that we can kind of ground this conversation on student success with, from the student perspective. And we can cover mobile for who didn't see it. So I'm on an iPad to view this, so I'm just clicking top left-hand corner, the student mobile app. Hopefully I'm still logged in. So I'm logged in as a student right now, and some different things that I can do as a student. So this is my profile here. I can choose to show my grades on my dashboard or not. I don't have any grades yet. I can also control my notification preferences. One of the things about student success is engagement. Do they have a relationship with their peers in the class? Do they have a relationship with their instructor in the class? Do they have a sense and awareness of what's going on in the class? Are they invested in their learning process? Canvas helps foster that type of thinking or feeling about their learning experience through something like notifications, where Canvas is actually sending them information that's relevant to them. They can personalize it and say, I want to know every time new content is added to the course. I want to be notified right away whenever my instructor sends me a message. I want to know anytime that I've been graded on some work. I want my peer students to be able to contact me. They have a say in how they use the system, and that helps. That helps work towards engagement. The user can decide how and when the system is going to talk to them. They also have the ability to send out messages and receive messages with their instructor through the mobile apps and through the desktop at any time. They can send the instructor a message, and hopefully the instructor has those notifications on as well. So when the student does message them, they get a notification and they can respond back. That's kind of the responsibility of the teacher to do that, but Canvas certainly enables that by encouraging the teacher to enable notifications. That way when a student reaches out, they can respond to them right away. And they can have this ongoing conversation. As we mentioned earlier, Canvas has the audio video capability where I can actually do audio video messaging back and forth with my students or back and forth with my teacher, which is really nice. Just for simple ease of use, a student can compose the message in text, or they can use their built-in tools. Hey, Professor Sarandon, I'm really sorry I was late today. I'll try to be on time the rest of the week. I know that really annoys you. Love, guy. So I can use the tools that are built into my devices to leave messages, which is really nice. The calendar helps students stay on time on task. It surfaces all the different activities that they have to do. It allows them to submit the activities, respond to discussions, complete quizzes with a click. So it's really just a matter of, taking a glance at a calendar and one click right there. So for student engagement, student success, making sure they know what's happening and give them the tools to complete those activities really early on is helpful when Canvas tries to surface that. Fundamentally, we just try to make sure that Canvas is easy to use for all learners. Kids as low as 3 to 4 years old can actually use Canvas in pre-K, as well as medical students and top-notch research institutions. So it's very flexible and very adaptable to how the individual student wants to use the system, how they interact with other users, how they submit complete work, and so forth. Any questions about that mobile? The calendar, the notifications, being able to submit work? Does that make sense?
We do have a question from online. In Moodle, we have what's called the personalized learning designer, which is sort of mastery learning. What's in Canvas, or is there anything similar?
Can you give me an example of what that would look like, or how that would be used?
So the personalized learning designer, it can be used, kind of what we're testing right now is using it in conjunction with like competency-based so you can basically set up different paths for students, have things open at particular points when they've met a certain environment. You can have messages go out for different, ranges.
That's what I thought that was being asked, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that I was interpreting it correctly. So in Canvas, there are a couple of different tools that work in that direction, and then you can use one or a combination of those different tool sets. So let's talk first about modules, and we took a look at modules earlier, so we can certainly dive a little bit deeper. But modules give you the ability to create that basic learning pathway. These are all the things that my students at a minimum must do. I can augment the course with a whole bunch of other stuff, but I might use modules as a way to say, this is like if I'm teaching to be, like this is where my average student is going to find everything they need to do and successfully complete the class, and then I can augment that for the A and C group as needed. To create a structured learning pathway, so a basic learning pathway, to create a more structured learning pathway, I can set things like block dates so that everyone's working on the same thing at the same time, or I can use prerequisites so that students who are more advanced can jump ahead and move on to the next module without waiting for the rest of the class to show up, or students can take longer to finish if they need to and go back and redo more work as they need to. So you can set prerequisites. So that's once the student has completed A, they can go on to B without having to wait. And then there's just setting requirements. So you can say students must complete all of these items or complete them all in a sequence. We see that used a lot in math or computer science classes. And you can say students complete one of these requirements, so you can differentiate. So the students who like to do multimedia, maybe they do a video, they choose an assignment that is a video assignment. Students who like to write, they'll choose a written assignment. And then students who are more mechanical might actually build something or do a horror report or a project or run a play. So you can actually create different assignments in the module that all go to the same learning objective, but allow the students to pick and choose which one they want to do. So you can do that as well with modules. And then setting the requirements depends on the type of activity it is. So a document, a file, a web link might be must view, a wiki page or a discussion might be contribute or submit, an assignment or a quiz might be submit, or an assignment or a quiz might be score at least. And that's going to trigger the when can I move on, when am I demonstrated mastery, when am I allowed to continue on my learning pathway. We also have a tool called Mastery Paths, and Mastery Paths is one of those opt-in features that we've talked about. So in your course settings area, these are all the different feature options that are available to play with. Some might work in some classes and disciplines, while others don't in others, so you can choose. And Mastery Paths is one of those newer ones. So Mastery Paths allows you to configure individual learning pathways based on assessment results. So an assessment would be a score on a graded activity. So this is enabled in this course. So let's go ahead and create an assignment. So if I have an assignment, so this might be my midterm paper, right? And I would give my directions, instructions here. And I would set up all my other assignment parameters and say this is worth 20 points. And I'll take a text entry, a URL, media recording file, upload, again, differentiating. I'll accept all of these. The students can pick how they want to demonstrate what they've learned. Peer review group assignment, assigned to everyone or assigned to sections or assigned to individuals. So I, as the instructor, I might have some students that I want to target with specific projects or specific assignments. I can do that as well. I'm going to put everyone on this. And then I can click Save and Publish. So now I just have a standard assignment. And this can go into any module. This can have a due date on it and appear on the calendar, and the student can submit it anywhere. It's just a basic assignment. It really doesn't have anything to do with anything else. But I'm going to put this into my Bill of Rights module. Okay. So I'm putting this into my Bill of Rights module. I'm going to scoot it up here to the top. And I'm going to actually edit this again to make Mastery Paths. So I choose this Mastery Paths button here at the top. And now my assignment itself that I just created is worth a maximum of 20 points. And I have some other activities in that module. So I might say, for students who score 0 to 8 points, I want them to also take this quiz, do a video report, maybe do this discussion or this quiz, right? So I can actually add different items to this. And now I can actually do an and or. So I could say they can do these 2 things or these 2 things. So I can't do an infinite number of activities. I'm limited to just a few, but I can group them like that. So that now the students in that module, right, the students who score between these grades are going to see these, okay? Otherwise they'll be hidden. Does that make sense? And then I can do that by tier. So students who scored 8 to 14 points, they did pretty good. I just want to see a little bit more effort on their part. So I might say, okay, you guys can either do this one, or this one. Okay. So for the students who scored lower, I'm going to load up a little bit more work. And I would have designed these for that use case. So they're not too hard. They're doable. Maybe they're educational in nature as well as assessing them. So I would have designed these knowing how I would build them into my structure, and I would have designed those knowing how I build them into my structure. And then for the students who scored higher, I might not give them any work. They might just be done, or I might also say, give them an extra credit, something if I wanted to, whatever I want to give them. So Mastery Paths allow you, based on a prior activity, based on the score of a prior activity, I can now give them additional work to learn more, re-attempt that mastery, and also boost their overall score and build that right into the learning pathway based on their performance. Does that make sense? Do you like that? Does that help? Does that kind of get you where you needed to go a little bit? This is relatively new. It's about 18 months old. This tool, Mastery Paths. I wouldn't say it's adopted at a super high level, but it is widely adopted across programs, institutional types, organizational types, program types, learner types, in people in the community are talking about it, what they're learning, and we listen, because if we need to tweak how this works, how this functions on the back end technically, and how content is delivered, how content is tracked, how data is tracked. So for example, we needed to build in a way so that students who were not assigned these weren't penalized in the gradebook, right? So we want to make sure we're not leaving any stones uncovered, right? So explore this, play with it, let us know, and try it out in courses and programs and see if it's meeting your needs, since we're still kind of iterating on it.
Question from the online. Sure. Is there any way to automate canned messages based on actions by students? For example, welcome message sent to student automatically when the student logs into the course for the first time.
Nice.
And I like to tack on to that, can you personalize the message? Like, is there any token or anything that you can put in to personalize?
So I'll answer the second part of that, personalizing messages. There's not a token to do that, so that does not exist in Canvas. So the answer to the first question is kind of yes and no. There are some tools that help to do that, but it's not fully automated in like an artificial intelligence way. There are some tools to help kind of create that experience, but it's not fully automated officially on the back end. We're experimenting in that space, which is not done yet. There's still more to learn. So one way to kind of create that experience is with announcements. So I might have a weekly welcome announcement and just schedule that to go out. So I might have my welcome to the course announcement that goes out the morning the course starts. And then I might have a welcome to week 2 course announcement that goes out the morning that week 2 starts. So I would just create my announcement, text here, whatever it is, add video, add hyperlinks, whatever I want it to be, and then delay posting and post it at whatever day or time I want it to go out. An announcement like this goes out to the whole course. We're adding in the capability to deliver it by section. So the section-based announcements is coming soon. It's in product release notes actually right now. So that can kind of create that structure. And the beauty of using this kind of tool is that it's now part of the course. So when you roll over from term to term and you shift the dates with Canvas, this gets updated as well, which is really nice. So there's that type of experience. And then in Gradebook, we have a pretty cool tool called Message Students Who. This is a new Gradebook. So in the Gradebook, we have this Message Students Who. So I'm triggering this on a particular assignment. Again, it's not artificial intelligence doing it, I'm triggering it as the instructor or the TA. So for this assignment, position paper, I want to message students who haven't submitted yet, right? So I could say, hey, this is due Friday, don't be late. Haven't been graded yet, I'm really sorry, I plan to finish grading tonight. Who scored less than a certain score, hey guys, I'm doing study group tonight, why don't you come by? Or scored more than a certain score, good job you guys, you studied really hard, I appreciate your effort. So I can message students who, these are canned, these are not editable at this time. We're getting some requests that people want to be able to create their own parameters, and we're kind of researching into what that would actually look like and what it would take to develop. So right now, those 4 things are just canned in there. But you'll notice, excuse me, these are individual name blocks here with an X. So maybe George Kasabian came and spoke to me after class today, so I don't really need to tell him, so I can take him off the list, right? And then I just send out whatever message I want to. Instructors really like this, they like this tool, but we still do hear, I hear you, and other teachers have told us this, that they want more ability to send out custom personalized information, to set up more types of canned activity, or to have the system itself actually recognize certain parameters and messages, which we're doing deeper research on.
Yeah, if you remember the product slide, there was a little item there called nudges, and that is that kind of AI-focused tool that we're working on in terms of automating some messages that the system sends. But to add a comment to that too, a lot of canned messaging, that was the tool we did because we all, email was that type of tool that came in early on, and so canned messaging became a thing. We do feel that notifications, the way those work with a canned message, sort of, that tells a student when something was graded, when an assignment due dates change, when someone posted group discussions, right? Like that is part of that ecosystem as well in terms of, do we necessarily need robust canned messaging, or do some of those more natural interactions in Canvas, which is going to handle anyway, does that also help augment that need? And maybe think about the question a little bit differently, where something like Message Students Who fills in a blank where the notifications kind of opens up, right? So it allows Canvas to automatically do some things, and then certainly give personalized messages where it really matters, like with grades, right?
Have there been changes with the gradebook from so what I have with my sandbox, and if so, can you kind of go over that?
So new Gradebook is one of those things that's under a feature flag right now. So for new Gradebook, if you want to enable that, of course you have to turn it on. So some of the new features that are in Gradebook include enhanced filtering and sorting tools, and a new, I don't know what to call it, door thing.
Context art again.
Quick super grader. So over the top, there's some new arrange options. Before you could drag, so the standard Gradebook or the old Gradebook, you could drag a column to reorder it. This gives you some built-in tools to reorder.
You can look at it.
You can, yeah. But a lot of people are just like, I always drag to reorder by alpha. You build in a sort. Filters, so I can filter by assignment groups, for example. If I just want to grade all of my discussions, I can do that. If I just want to grade all my assignments, I can do that. So however I set up assignment groups, to filter. I can also filter by module. So if I just want to see one unit of content, or week 1 or week 2, or however I name it, because I name my module, so I can call them whatever I want. I can just see the activities for that one particular so that I'm seeing only 3 assignments now, because I'm just looking at the assignments in the Revolution unit versus all the modules, which is probably 18 or 20 different assignments. Right? So it just simplifies my view. I can also choose to view or unview unpublished assignments, just take those out of my view. You can hide them, you know, by squeezing the column before, but this just completely takes them out of my view. I can import, export just like I could before. I also have a notes column, which I can toggle on or off. So the notes column is Jane has been late, stop for lunch and ask why. Right, so this is a note to myself. This doesn't appear for the student, right? Versus leaving a note or a comment on an assignment, which would be for the student. So if I wanted to leave a note for the student, that would be this type of comment. So notes column is notes to me, but leaving a comment or a note to the student is for them. They also get this little slide out tray. It's another mechanism for grading or for marking things late, missing, or excused. That came from the customers in the community. They wanted that option. You could always add EX to excuse it, but now we also have a late missing rule. We have rules to apply for missing submissions or late submissions to apply deductions. This is brand new. This is like maybe 6 weeks old. This is brand new to the new Gradebook. So we're adding a lot of new functionality in there. It's great that you have experience with the old one, but these changes are drastic improvements.
An override for students who have special accommodation.
Like for every submission.
Like some students have special accommodation, you know. You give them more time. For instance, if the normal students need 30 minutes for this quiz, the specific students need like 15 minutes more.
So it's not a grade accommodation, it's a time on task accommodation, yeah. So right now in Canvas quizzes, the current Canvas quizzes tool, it's a student to quiz option where for every quiz for that student you can do it, but yes you can. It's just a little bit labor intensive right now. With the new quizzing tool, it will be for the student for all quizzes, so it'll be a little bit easier to administer. So the question for the viewers at home, can you grant extra time and attempts to individual students on activities? The answer is yes. In current quizzes, it's a 1 quiz per student change. And the new quizzes that's coming out that will be included with Canvas, you'll be able to make that change for the student to apply to all quizzes. So that's for quizzes. For assignments or graded discussions is a little bit different. So what I would do based on what I've seen teachers at other schools do is to alter the due date based on students. So I might create a section for students who need extra time or so I can do it more effectively. But it's really just about using the variable due dates. Right? So Chandra, so here I have everybody in the class, everyone is due March 18th at whatever time it says, 1:13. But Chandra and Christina are going to be due on March 18th also, but they have until later in the day or whatever. Maybe they have after school jobs or whatever. So I can make that type of accommodation for other activities. Does that make sense? And to make this easier for me as a teacher, I would just create a group or a section and put my students that need that extra time in there, and then I would just assign to those groups like that. Just to make it a little easier.
So back to Gradebook, were there any changes with the setup of the Gradebook?
So the
building of the Gradebook.
So the question is, are there any changes with new Gradebook for how the Gradebook is created? No, it's still create a graded activity, graded quiz, graded survey, graded discussion, graded assignment. Any graded activity will automatically get a column in the Gradebook. So the setup is the same. And then for calculations, You would do that through assignment groups, just like you did before. So on the assignments page, I have the ability to create assignment groups. So in my course, I have these 5 assignment groups, and I can edit these. So instead of assignments, I might call this papers. Right? So I would have, however I wanted to group them together. It could be Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 1, Unit 2, or by type assignment here. And then I could weight them. So I can say all the papers are worth 40%, discussions are worth 25, this is worth 25, participation is worth 10. So I would customize how these groups of assignments are weighted. This is the same as it was before. And then I can create rules at the group level. So I could say, you know, like maybe I have a group that's all my quizzes and I say drop the lowest score, but never drop the final exam, right? Even if it's the lowest score. So I can create these rules and those all carry over into the calculations of the gradebook. So same basic structure, but for those who haven't seen this before, a little deeper than what we went through earlier. Does that all make sense? You organize your assignments and then you can add calculations.
What does it look like for the students? So what would they see when they look at their
Great question. So this might be a new feature for you also. We moved the student view button to the front page. Okay. So click student view and there will be a pink wrapper so you know you're in student view. It says you are currently logged into student view. You have 2 buttons to leave or to reset. This is a clue that I can actually participate as a student and then leave and then come back and I can reset it if I want. So looking at this as a student, if I were looking at, say, my assignments page, here I would see those assignment, all the different assignments, but Canvas is telling me the teacher doesn't have to build this. Canvas does this automatically. Canvas is grouping them by overdue and upcoming. And then I can toggle by type. So up at the top, I can then see them as grouped that the way my instructor grouped them. And that's us talking to students and they're just like, yeah, I don't care. I just want to know what I have to do today. So the default is to show by date or what's due. And then you can toggle, the student can toggle to show by type. Students can also see if the grades tab. So this is dependent on those tools being available to the student in the menu. If the grades tab is available for them, they can see all of their different assignments, what's missing, the due dates, and then over here are those weighted categories. Over here, so you can see those weights. And then I'm going to scroll down, and I can see, so I think I might have the final grades turned off in this course, but I would be able to see the point values. So you have a box that you can check so they don't see the final grade. Sometimes what's in the LMS is not the actual grade the teacher wants to submit. You can turn that off.
And you have a column of the gradebook.
By creating an assignment. And you can add the assignment through the user interface, or if you export the gradebook to a CSV file and add columns and re-import it, that's fine. It'll create the columns and will also create it.
I've read this this question from on the Canvas community, and they say
Good
Canvas
job.
have not solved this problem yet. Well, see if you can.
I think it being a problem is subjective, right? So Canvas works as designed that if you have a gradebook column, there's a presence in there that informs the student of what they're being graded on, right? We kind of made the assumption that the student, if you're going to grade the student wants to know on what they're going to be graded. So whenever there's a gradebook column, there's something that's in the course that the student can go see. Now what you put in there as the instructor is up to you, right? But there is a presence there that exists. It also ties into that presence, also ties into modules, which ties into learning pathways, which turns into mastery paths. It ties into the calendar and what's happening in class. It ties into to-do lists. It ties into notifications. So just having a gradebook column would kind of bypass all this other really cool stuff that Canvas can do, you know? So it is functioning as designed. There is a segment of faculty. I tend to see a lot of people. Are you faculty? I tend to see a lot of math faculty, like they're like, I just want to create a column because they're like so used to working in spreadsheets, right? And that's where we hear that a lot from. It's something that we have taken seriously, and obviously we spent a lot of time rebuilding the Gradebook and adding in new functionality, but it's just not something that we prioritize. We hear you, we hear those people that speak up, get it, but our philosophy is kind of grounded in the user experience and making everything as awesome as it can be, and that would not be taking advantage of all the awesome things that this does.
And that's that place, just like with what we just talked about it. But the question about the automatic messaging, right? Why do you do this thing now? Is it the best practice? Is it possible that Canvas doesn't make it better even if the feature doesn't exist, right? And are there other tools there? Because an assignment with no submission is perfectly acceptable. That is a great column where the students aren't turning something in. And it's something you can use to grade. And you can do something unique, like put a rubric in there, and then if you do want to do some kind of combination grading of other columns, feel free to do that. Canvas is flexible to do that. But for the general user, is the ability to add certain types of columns necessarily the best use case? So,
yeah, Sean, thank you for mentioning that, and I'll revisit that setting. So when the assignment presence exists, what you do with it, it could be the submission type is no submission. They're not submitting their rebuilt carburetor from shop. The rebuilt carburetor lives in the shop. If they're doing something on paper, it could be art class, it could be a sculpture, it could be a performance. But you still, they're in the column and they're still being assessed on it. An external tool, it could be something happening in Pearson My Labs or Cengage Math textbook or something like that. And you also have this, so one of the other reasons that people ask for that added column is because they want to do their own calculations. Canvas does the calculations for you because it fits the majority of faculty who don't think that way. The math faculty who want control over the calculations are upset about that. I get it. But we did this, add this other option. I'm like, can I just have a column just randomly that doesn't go to the total? Okay, we can do a checkbox. So we're trying to mitigate that without sacrificing or losing the intentional design for all the other things that it does.
One question that we get from faculty sometimes is how they can easily deduct off of the course total. So you showed earlier, like how you can deduct off of the score of an item. Can you set it to deduct off of the course total for some?
So yeah, the total column is not editable because of the auto calculation. I'm not sure of how I don't know how I would do that. Gosh.
Yeah, they can't
They
really
can't
do it currently, but some, like say if there's well, some like to figure in participation at the end.
Yeah.
Some have like a uniform requirement, and so if they haven't, done well with their uniform, they deduct 5 points off their course total. Things like that. So
I hear you.
Why we get the question, I don't really, personally, I wouldn't like it as a student, that being deducted at the end, because then it's kind of like, it could be like a last minute whammy. I would like to see my grade as I'm going, but that's my opinion. But we do get asked that by faculty, so I wanted to ask about that.
I mean, sometimes it's that similar question with maybe create an assignment with a point total that you deduct from if they don't, something like that, right? So deducting from the total. As Carrie mentioned, exporting, importing with some calculation that you've done is pretty common for business faculty and math faculty. Perfectly acceptable as well.
We've recommended because we have co-ops, things are being done at a co-op site, or they have something that you know, like you said, it's not being submitted in the system, it's done outside. And so we've always recommended setting those up as basically offline assignments, and then you have the, you know, benefit of having the direction information, the date, you know, everything else that it makes it in the gradebook. But a lot of people haven't done that just because there is the capability, they've had the capability to just add a column manually in the gradebook. So, yeah, this would kind of be forcing them to do it how we recommended.
Yeah, I think one of the thing that jumped out at me is you said, how do I deduct? And usually people ask, how do I give extra credit, right? To which we have 5 really fun answers, but the deduction, it's interesting for some people.
Yeah, want to give negative points or deduct. And we have people giving extra.
We have a sense of how Southeast operates. Wow, scary, intimidating. Yeah, maybe a participation, you know, column that, you know, it use the presence of it and explain how they will be graded and when they will be graded on that participation, and then do plus or minus points at the end of the semester. That could work. Yeah, might not be pleasant for everybody, but I think it would accomplish the end goal. Yeah.
I have 2 quick questions. Like if you have let's say a PDF file in your course, is there a way to, because most of our courses have a course information document with a PDF file, and so sometimes term to term that file, you know, something changes and it gets updated. So typically what our people do now with existing courses, the link to the file is in there, but they can just go into the edit settings for it, delete the old file, drag and drop in the new one. Is there a way to swap out the file without having to recreate the whole thing?
There is. I would be mindful of the file name and not changing the file name. So if the new version is the exact, so if the file name is the exact, it could be an image, it could be really anything. If it's the exact name, yeah, you can do that. So like if I have syllabus fall 2018, I can't override it with fall syllabus or 2019, right? Because it's not the same file name. But if it's the same file name, math 107 syllabus, and I'm just updating the file, then it'll replace and override and be the properly named that form. Yeah. I don't think I need to demonstrate that. So yeah, it's the file name, right? So you can override that. You just drag it. You don't even need to delete the old one. Just drag in the new one. It'll say, do you want to replace or append? And you have a choice.
How about the PowerPoint files?
Same process. Is that what you're asking to replace?
My question, like our instructor uses PowerPoint a lot in their courses. I've seen other LMSs, once you drop the PowerPoint, it will convert it to another format, for instance, like PDF, so HTML5.
I think there was some in this course that we required.
Like to see the PowerPoint files.
The answer is yeah, we do render files in the content page. So there's a content page or quiz question, discussion board, you've got a file that can render, document file, PowerPoint, PDF, etc. We'll render that in line. Yeah.
And just to be cognizant of time.
Yeah, we're a little bit over.
15 minutes left. 15 minutes left before noon, which is the next session.
Oh,
so
I wanted to get lunch. Did you guys want to break for lunch?
That's up to those who are present. I
It'd
mean,
be nice for you guys to be able to.
yeah, I think let's break because some of these questions can be asked during the Q&A because it'll be that faculty crossover.
Yeah, let's break for lunch and then